All right, welcome to another episode of the Siege Podcast, a weekly show where we preview the week ahead from a betting perspective. I'm your host, Travis Harris. Joining me, as always, are the rest of the Siege guys, Devin Hadley, Jordan Hadley, and James Roth. At the end of each episode, we each will give out 3 picks we are personally playing during our Locks of the Week segment. We'll also give you 1 free Siege VIP client play that our clients have already received. So make sure you stick around for that, or if you prefer, skip to the end. We're just glad to help you win some money this college football season and to have you listening. So let's review last week. We'll go through some key takeaways and some prizes from last week. I'll start, guys. My takeaway from this week is Southern Miss is exactly as bad as I've been saying all year that they are. They are just a god-awful football team. This is the same team whose coach quit mid-season last year. I think it was actually after the first game. They just got their ass kicked, and the coach just went and left to coach a FCS school. That's how bad they are, and they're not any better from last year. So, they lose 34-0 to UAB, which was, UAB was one of my locks of the week last week. So hopefully you cash that ticket with me. I'm going to look to continue to fade Southern Miss the rest of the year. We always talk about on this podcast, it's important to bet the numbers, look into the data, look into the trends, not to bet just the names on the jerseys. But I'll make an exception in this case, and I'm taking whichever team is playing against Southern Miss. I don't care who they are. They could be Bishop Sycamore. I'm taking them against Southern Miss. So that's my key takeaway from this week. James, any takeaways or surprises?
I'm just impressed with Georgia. I know it seems one week after another. They just keep showing out what they got. I mean, their defensive line may be the best that has ever been assembled in college football. That they're that legit. And quarterback, it doesn't matter if it's Stenson or Daniels. They're both interchangeable, it seems like. And shout out to Kentucky's coach, though, looking forward. I mean, the guy plays to cover. I mean, he took a timeout with like seconds left just so they could score and cover. Obviously, he'll probably say that it's not what it was, but we all know what it was. It was a pride thing, and he wanted to cover. We respect that for sure. So
he's for the people.
Yeah, he's for the people. But yeah, that's probably my biggest takeaway, just how impressive Georgia's looking, and I don't see him slowing down anytime soon. So.
Yeah, no, I'd agree. I mean, we talked last week, or maybe the week before, or maybe every week, that Georgia is just they're by far the best team in the country. I mean, they're elite above anyone else. So I agree with you there, James. Jordan, before I move to you, we're recording this show around 8:00 Thursday night. Siege has a play in Charlotte +7. They just converted a huge fourth down conversion. Now they're goal to goal situation. So let's go 49ers. Jordan, surprises, takeaways from last week?
Well, the obvious takeaway is Iowa losing at home to Purdue. I figured it would be a lot closer than what people thought, but I was not expecting them to lose outright, especially at home. So that was the biggest surprise. And then my other surprise was, well, not so much a surprise for you, was La Tech losing outright. Not even losing outright, but being favored by a touchdown and losing by double digits, I think it was. So, yeah, I owe you a case to beer on that one for sure. I'll admit that when I was wrong. They're bad.
Yeah. Yes. Thanks, Jordan. Yeah. Those who listened last week, we had the Battle of the Sharps. Jordan and I was on UTEP +7. He was on La Tech -7 or 6.5. UTEP wins outright by double digits, like Jordan mentioned. I got this one, Jordan. Yeah, you'll probably get the next one, but I'll take whatever case of beer you want to give me. That's for sure. Dev, what do you got?
Yeah, so just watching the Michigan State game. They snuck out another win, found a way to win. Obviously, as a State fan, I'm happy, but that offense has a lot of holes in it, and that worries me going into next week against Michigan. If they don't have big plays, it really hinders them. They rely on those big plays a lot to score. They can't really put together many drives. Give Indiana credit; their defense is actually pretty good. But I don't know. I went into that game hopeful that State could, put together a 4 quarters of good football, but they did not at all, and they really were lucky to win yet again. Another takeaway was in Nashville last weekend, along with Jordan, and we were right next to Vanderbilt's campus, getting brunch on Friday. So I threw a couple units on Vanderbilt for the hell of it, and they actually covered with ease, almost won outright. So shout out to Vanderbilt. They still suck. I won't take them ever again, but that was kind of fun.
Hey, all right. Shout out to the Commodores. We're not huge Commodore backers here, but when in Rome, right? So, Jordan, I had written down for my surprises as well. Iowa, losing outright to Purdue, at number 2 in the country, was short-lived. But after watching them play the weekend before against Penn State, should I really be surprised that they lost outright? I don't know. But nonetheless, there's only 2 unbeaten Big Ten teams that remain, which is epic, or stepping up to be an epic showdown next week for Michigan State, Michigan. We'll talk a lot more about that game on next week's show, which could have Big Ten championship implications and, dare I say, national college football playoff implications. First week in over a month, maybe even all season, that we haven't had a single top 25 matchup. So not any huge marquee games to look at, but one interesting line to me is Oklahoma minus 38.5. We continue to talk about them every week, dating back to James's national championship future flyer. But they're minus 38.5 at Kansas. Kansas, I mean, we know how bad they are. They've been bad ever since I can remember. They're 0-6 against the spread this year. If Spencer Rattler was playing, I don't care how bad Kansas is, I would be taking Kansas. But per Barstool, Spencer Rattler took down his Oklahoma affiliation on his Instagram the other day, so he will not be playing. Looks like Williams is going to get the start and play the whole game again. I will stay away from this one. Again, if Spencer Rattler is playing, I would definitely take Kansas. But, 38.5 is a lot of points. But, man, Kansas is just really bad. So I'll stay away. But that is interesting. I would like to lean Kansas here, but I just can't do it. Dev, what about you? Any games that you are eyeing this week or matchups that you like?
No, what a terrible slate. But honestly, I'm not mad at it. State has a bye week. It's going to be a stress-free week for me personally as a fan. But not too many.
Is there stress-free weeks around here?
Yeah, good point. But don't love the slate. I like looking forward to, I guess, the Oklahoma State game at Iowa State. Line's a little weird. I don't love either side. I know James does. He'll give you his play in that game later in this episode. But that's probably the most intriguing matchup this week, in my opinion. Maybe Notre Dame, USC, 2 big brand names, but both teams aren't very good. Tennessee, Bama should be a blowout. Kind of a nasty slate. However, this is the last week of bad slates. After this, it gets real good, real juicy. So looking forward to the weeks to come after this week.
Yeah, I agree. Another tough slate, but we found some value for Siege. So our card's available for $15. So don't forget to DM us on Twitter at Pick Siege this week if you want the picks that we're playing. James, what do you got? Any games you like? Anything from a betting perspective you're looking at or looking to do?
Looking through right now, and catches my eye. I think is Sean Clifford out this week for Penn State? Nobody knows, right? Because Franklin's an ass hat. So Illinois getting 23 at Penn State. I mean, if it was anybody but Illinois, I would be all over them. But oh my, is Illinois bad? But with that being said, we saw what Penn State's backup did against Iowa, but I still don't think I can trust them. So I'm just gonna stay away. It'd be interested to see or hear if you get any updates on Clifford for going forward for Penn State, because I think beyond this, their real slate begins, like Devin says, starting next week. Everybody's schedule picks up. So other than that, like Devin said, I'm going to talk a little bit about Oklahoma State line that just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm going to go ahead and put my jinx in for Oklahoma State. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah, other than that, that's not a whole lot else going on for me.
Yeah, man. Penn State, they're just, I don't know. If their backup quarterback plays, it'll be really hard not to take Illinois. Really hard. But they're bad. So I don't know. We'll see what happens first. Who's going to start a quarterback, and we'll make our decision from there. Jordan, what do you got?
I just gotta say that I cannot believe Pat Narduzzi is favored over Dabo Swinney this week. I mean, what world are we living in right now? The sad thing is, I lean Pitt too. The Clemson's look so bad. It's like,
Yeah,
this is a make or break game for Pittsburgh and their quarterback possibly making some noise with the Heisman race and getting drafted. So, yeah, this will be interesting. That's probably the game I'm most looking forward to, is hopefully Narduzzi taking down Dabo.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that one too. I mean, we talk about Roberson with Penn State. How about this guy who took over for Trevor Lawrence in Clemson? I don't think he's much better. But the game I'm most excited for actually is the ACC showdown. NC State -3 at Miami, Florida. Siege, we have a VIP play in this one, so if it's a game you're looking at betting, feel free to send us a message. We can send that out to you. I don't know. NC State, they're legit. Miami is not. This line might be a little fishy. I don't know, but nonetheless, I'm looking forward to this game for sure. Let's move over to underdog pick of the week. I'll start because I wrote this up yesterday. Now I'm starting to wonder if this is going to be good, but I'm gonna stick with it. I'm not a fan of USC. They've been the most inconsistent team in the Pac-12 this year, and the Pac-12 is just the most inconsistent and just overrated conference in my opinion. I would almost even say that the Sun Belt is better than the Pac-12. It's a pretty crazy take, but I don't know. The Pac-12 is just so bad, but I think Notre Dame is even more overrated. Is Cohen starting, or Cohen, or Jack? I don't know. If he is, I'm definitely taking USC here, +7. I think it's down to 6 or 6.5 now. USC has nothing to play for, and Notre Dame has everything to lose. So this is a big rivalry game for them. I'm going to lean USC plus the points, looking to play spoiler here. So that's my underdog pick of the week. Jordan, what do you got?
This is probably a pretty square play coming off of the big win against Liberty last week. But Louisiana Monroe getting 2 touchdowns against South Alabama. I believe they're at home too. So hopefully they ride that momentum and can cover the plus. I think it's 13.5 now, but
Yep.
Yeah, I know that's your team, Trav, South Alabama. Sorry, but
Yeah, I do like that.
I'm fading them this week.
Yeah. It's funny because UL Monroe, they were either their total win total for this year was either a half a game or 1.5 games. I can't remember which one, but they're at 3 wins already. So this is quite the turnaround for just an awful, awful team. So yeah, I don't hate that pick, Jordan. I'm definitely, as much as I like South Alabama and I've played them a lot this year, I'm definitely not taking them minus the 2 touchdowns. So I'll stay away from that game. But I don't hate that pick of yours for sure. James, what do you got?
Go up to the Pacific Northwest. We're gonna rock with the Beavers this week. Yep. plus 3.5, I think, against Utah. Utah's fresh off coming, beating Arkansas State. I think they lay a big egg, and Oregon State wins outright, but I'll obviously be taking them with the points as well. So that's my underdog, other than my pick later that I'll give.
Go
Are they at
Beavers.
home, James? The Beavers
Yeah.
at home this week?
Yeah.
Okay. I love that. Yep.
Dev, what about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go Bowling Green at home, getting 3 points against Eastern Michigan. This is simply an ATS trends play. So Bowling Green is 6-0 as an underdog this year against the spread. A home dog I always like to take, but I also like the other side, and Eastern Michigan's only 1-2 as a favorite this year. So it's strictly a trends play. I'll take the team that's 6-0 against the spread as an underdog this year, ride that wave, and hopefully they come through for me.
Yeah, I've talked a lot about Bowling Green on this podcast, actually, being underdog plays, covering the spread. But, that I think Vegas finally caught up, which is why I was on them before. +3. I mean, Bowling Green hasn't been, they were favored against, what was it, UConn or Vanderbilt, someone, which they, of course, didn't cover. But, as an underdog, like you said, Dev, they're really good. I just don't think 3 points is enough for them. But I don't know. This is a weird game to me because Eastern Michigan, like you said, they're 1-2 as a favorite, but I wonder what they are as a road favorite because they are awful playing away from the factory in Ypsilanti. They're definitely played much better at home. So I like that pick, Bowling Green +3, especially because Eastern Michigan just is not good on the road. So let's move into locks of the week. Let's get a quick rundown of how it went last week. Amanda, in her first ever guest appearance on the podcast, gave out a winning ticket at Cincinnati -21. They win with ease. So shout out Amanda. Great pick on Cincinnati. Hope you cash that ticket with her. I had a 3-0 sweep. Dev 2-1, Jordan 1-2, James 1-2. So Dev, why don't you start us off with your locks of the week?
Yeah, first game I like, start off the day, the noon game, Michigan Northwestern. I like the under in this game. It's at 51. I don't think Northwestern can score more than 10 points. Their quarterback is pretty bad. They have a good receiver who's okay, but they can't run the ball. They're one-dimensional. I think Michigan holds them to 7 points, maybe even 3 points. I don't like Northwestern as a dog, but I trust Michigan to score enough either to take them -23.5. So I just like the under here. I think that hits with ease. Hopefully start off with a stress-free winner. The other play I like is oh shoot, I forgot my plays.
Dev, you got Northern Illinois +5.
Illinois, Rocky Lombardi. Thank you. Rocky Lombardi against Central Michigan. This is actually more of a fade of Central Michigan, to be honest. I don't love Rocky. I don't trust Rocky Lombardi, but Northern Illinois playing pretty well lately, actually all season. But Central's coming off a big win at home, and I'm fading them. I think this line's a little bit inflated. And then
Your other pick was Alabama -25. If you need a refresher.
Bama -25. It was 27.5 actually to start, I believe, maybe even -28. Came down a bit. I like Bama -25. I think they absolutely roll Tennessee. They'll be smoking cigars after this one. Tennessee is just, how do you bet on Joe Milton right now? That guy's unbelievable. He's a fraud. That play at the end of the game last week was downright laughable. He's a joke. Him and Devin Gardner belong in the Michigan Hall of Fame. That's all.
For Michigan State fans, that was an Andrew Maxwell play against Notre Dame.
Yeah, but at least Maxwell went out of bounds when they were 60 yards from scoring. At least Tennessee had a chance.
That's true.
But
What about Dev? What about Alabama first half? That's been huge, huge betting. That's been huge, popular bet. Alabama first half. So would you dabble in that, or are you going to take them the full game?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Sprinkle them
Do
both.
both. All right.
Yep.
I love it. I'll go next. I got, I think North Texas is just as bad as Southern Miss. There might be a little bit better. But since Southern Miss has a bye this week, unfortunately, I can't fade them this week. So I'll get as close as I can and fading the mean green of North Texas. I'll take Liberty minus 21 there. I love, one of my favorite plays of the week is actually UCLA -2. They're at home against Oregon, who is ranked number 10 for some reason. I think UCLA is way better than Oregon is. So give me UCLA -2 at home. And then my other pick was actually SMU -14, but they're playing right now as we speak. So I'm not going to give that one out, of course. That could be good for listeners. That might be a loser anyway. So I'll move to tomorrow night, Friday, Utah State +3 at home against Colorado State. Like Dev said, I like playing underdogs at home. Utah State, they haven't been good really since Jordan Love left. But they've kind of turned it around this year, turned a corner. And I think Colorado State is right up there with one of the most inconsistent teams in the Pac-12 with USC, if not the worst team in the Pac-12. So I'll take my chances with the Aggies +3 at home. Jordan, how about you?
So first play I got down is Memphis +1 against UCF. I wrote this up yesterday. I just happened to check the line, and it's up to Memphis -2.5 now. So a lot of money coming in on Memphis, which is about right. I was surprised that they were getting a point at UCF. So
I think
it's about where it's at now.
They opened like +2 or +2.5, I think, right? Memphis did.
I think I saw +2 on a couple of books. Yeah. So
Yeah.
a lot of line movement. Yep. Tomorrow night. Yep. And then my next play is Ball State -5 against Miami, Ohio. This was a team I was high on coming into the year, returning 20 guys from last year, which I think they were one of the better teams in the MAC. Did they win the MAC last year? They might have to fact check me on that, but I think they won their division in the MAC. Came off slow start to start the year, but last 3 games they turned it around, looked pretty good. Miami, Ohio has not covered more than 1 or 2 games this year, I believe. So I like to fade them when I can. I think Ball State wins comfortably. And then my last pick is the Louisville Boston College over 57. Any Louisville total under 60 points, I'm taking every time. I mean, they play at a fast pace. They give up points. So I'm locking that in over 57.
Yeah, I love that over 57 as well. Real quick on Miami of Ohio, it's so funny that they haven't covered much this year. One, their quarterback, I think he's a brother of Blaine Gabbert, former NFL quarterback. But their coach last year, they asked him if he knew what he was doing to cover the spread, and he basically said he did. And I was on the other side of that game, and it pissed me off, and I'll never forget that. So their coach knows the spreads. He aims to beat the spreads, apparently, and he just hasn't done this year, so they just must be garbage. That's what I say about Miami, Ohio. James, what do you got?
I'll say Devin, first, your Eastern Michigan road favorites. Eastern Michigan's 0-3 on the road this year against the spread. So just thought I'd share that with you. So
Even better.
Yep, and they miss it by an average about 5.3 points. So I like that. I like your pick there. As for me, full disclosure, I know everybody, for you listeners, I go 1-2 every week, okay, but it doesn't go without saying that I get a bad beat every week. 16 points scored in the last 2 minutes of the Nebraska game. That's a safety and 2 touchdowns, by the way, to put the over to hit. So I killed my under. So you can't make this stuff up. I mean, I should write them down, and it needs to go in a museum somewhere. But anyway, Virginia, Georgia Tech over 63. I can't wait for there to be 40 points scored in the first half and then 10 scored in the second half for the under to hit. But I'm going over 63 in that game. Defense is optional. bring your own guts, as Dabo says. North Texas, Liberty over 60. As Trav said, North Texas is terrible. They do get some sneaky, like 70-yard touchdowns randomly out of their running back. I don't know, it's incredible, really. And Liberty is not afraid to give up some points and trade blows. So I think that over should hit no problem. And then to Oklahoma State, somebody's got to jinx them, so it's going to be me. I'm going to take them +7 now. I mean, this line stinks. I don't know why they're getting 7. I know it's at Iowa State, and Iowa State, I think, was just had a rough start to the year. I think they're starting to round into form a little bit, but I still think this is a disrespectful line for Oklahoma State, getting 7 here. So I think they should at least cover that 7. If they lose, I think it'll be on like a field goal maybe or something. But I would expect Oklahoma State to win this one outright anyway, but we'll see. So those are my picks.
I like that Oklahoma State pick. I'm most likely going to be playing that when Saturday rolls around as well. Well, that's our locks of the week segment. You know what to do. Fade them, take them all, parlay them all. Let's cash some tickets this week. Our free play from the Siege, for our Siege clients that we sent to them, is we're going to move to the MAC for that this week. For the podcast, we're taking Western Michigan -2.5. So that'll do it for us on this episode of the Siege podcast. If you're interested in becoming a VIP client with us, just send us a DM on Twitter @PickSiege. Send us a message or tweet us to let us know if you're tailing any of our locks of the week picks or fading them if you think they suck. Remember, always gamble responsibly. And at the end of the day, it's all of us versus sports books. Let's win together and cash some tickets this week. We'll be back next week.
Siege coming.